hearing, but Jason's on the road for us with live reports on Monday. Joining us now to shed a little bit more light on this is business attorney Randy Ray with the firm Munck, Wilson, Mandala. Randy, start us with the basics. So as we understand it, American holds the exclusive right to submit a plan to the bankruptcy judge. So what does all this really mean today since they have that exclusive right? Is it all for naught?
Well, I don't think it's all for naught. It's positioning, and it's trying to, US Airways trying to get leverage, and the union's trying to get leverage to either force American to take a different approach than they've said publicly, or specifically with the Monday hearing, trying to get a result that the unions, where the union contracts are not rejected as a result of that hearing.
So even though we're in bankruptcy right now, educate the public a little bit on there is still negotiation going on, or the possibility thereof. Obviously, it seems to be a stalemate now. AMR is not giving the pilots what they want, or the flight attendants, but there can be talks there still prior to a final submission of a plan to the bankruptcy court.
Right. So American says they want to submit a plan to go their own route and then look at other options after bankruptcy. They could sit down at the table and talk with US Airways and come up with a combined effort to be really their plan of reorganization. Not going on their own, but in a merged, larger company.
Right. So, for instance, last night we reported exclusive details that the U.S. Airways folks had offered the pilots union in particular a Delta pay scale plus 3%. So is that something that the pilots union now can use as leverage against American if, in fact, they sit down at the table again and say, hey, now we've got kind of a firm deal here. Even though you've got first rights in bankruptcy court, this is looming here on the sideline. Does that play?
Well, I think it does. I mean, I was talking about sitting at the table with US Airways, but sitting at the table with the unions is definitely affected. But it all depends on whether their attempt to have the union contracts rejected is successful or not,
right,
in terms of what American is trying to do.
Tom Horton, the CEO at American, has said steadfastly to his employees and prior and during all of this, we want to come out of this thing alone. We don't want to merge. He has said in the past in various reports that maybe a merger could be on the horizon, but they want to do it under their own control, under their own time frame, etc. Does all of this now force him to take a second look, do you think?
It may well. It may force the management and the board to look differently at the plan that they had publicly announced and have been very consistent about, because circumstances are in the process of changing. The unions are changing. We'll have to see what the creditors come out and say, right, both the other unsecured creditors and really importantly, the secured creditors who own the collateral.
Yeah, they're the ones sitting there with their hands out waiting.
That's right.
Randy Ray, appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks for stopping back in. Randy's been here with us the last couple of days. Appreciate the perspective. CBS 11, your best source for information on the possible takeover and AMR bankruptcy. We were first, of course, with news of the union negotiations, first with knowledge of details of what the pilots were being offered. Much more to come on this story later this hour and also beyond. But first, let us take a